So next month, voters in Africa's most populous country, Nigeria, will head to the polls to select their next president amid mounting unhappiness in the country due to worsening insecurity and economic hardship. Will any of the frontrunners, most of whom have been in the political system for decades now, be able to turn the country around? Well, let's try and make sense of that and hopefully find out from Dr. Oye Akinola, Senior Researcher at the Institute for Pan-African Thought at the University of Johannesburg. Doc, thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon. Perhaps let's start with a statement by the United States yesterday. The Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, making it known that he's announcing visa restrictions on specific individuals in Nigeria for what he calls undermining the democratic process in a recent election, and that's the governorship polls in Anambra, Ekiti and Osun states. Do we know who these people are?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me on your program this morning. That's problematic. The statement itself is somehow complex to implement, because if you are saying you want to impose visa restrictions, the first question what about those people that have permanent residence in the United States? What of those people that are actually even citizens of the United States? So how do you impose bans on them? Are you going to withdraw their citizenship or their permanent residency? Then how do you determine those people that are electoral riggers in court? Who determines them? Is it the government of Nigeria? Is it civil society organization, or is it this intelligence supplied to the United States itself? So that's why people are relatively skeptical, despite the fact that it's a good gesture from the United States, but many people are skeptical about that particular statement.
When we take a look at the elections themselves happening on the 25th of February, which is next month, help us understand how Nigeria's electoral system works, firstly.
Yeah, over the years, Nigeria has been able to enjoy relative political stability since 1999. And one has to also give credit to the electoral body, the Independent National Electoral Commission, because one way or the other, despite some complaints in some quarters, they have been able to stabilize the Nigerian electoral system. And one thing that is also unique about the incoming election is the introduction of ICT, new technology to actually combat rigging. And they try to achieve this through this thing they call BVAS, and that's talking about the bimodal voter accreditation system, which was actually introduced in 2021 to be able to perform dual authentication and verification system on the election day. So when people come out to vote, there is a technology that will be able to match whatever you are presenting with your face, and in a way that will actually limit the cases of electoral malpractices. So we must actually commend INEC readiness to conduct free and fair election, despite some of their, criticism.
And when we take a look at what the everyday Nigerian will be considering when they choose their president, help us understand what they are faced with on the ground. We touched on the issue of insecurity and the economy, but on a broader scale, what is it that the everyday Nigerian will be considering?
Yeah, well, they have three choices, and so they have to actually, three major choices to choose from. So they have to actually focus on these three candidates. But what should be top, and I think what is top on the table of an average Nigerian, as something you have also mentioned, we talk about insecurity across Nigerian roads, Nigerian houses, farms, waterways, everywhere are insecure as we speak. In northern Nigeria, we have cases of Boko Haram terrorism. In western Nigeria, we have herders farmers conflict. In the west, or where we call it either west or southern Nigeria, we have combination of oil militancy and also this group of people that are trying to agitate for secession, that is IPOB, trying to asserting their own independence from Nigeria. So across board, insecurity. Apart from insecurity, there's economic hostility. At least the last record shows more than 21% inflation rate, and more than 33% of Nigerians are unemployed. The youth, particularly, when we look at the younger, maybe the adult age of the youth, we have more than 42% of unemployment rate. Even if you look at Human Development Index, Nigeria rank 163, if I'm not mistaken. So that is actually speaks to pessimism. If you look at the poverty rate in Nigeria, the last data show that 63% of Nigerians are poor. We are talking about 133 million people. That doesn't look good. So what they will be looking at is somebody that can elevate them from these combinations of misfortunes that have befallen average Nigeria.
Like you mentioned, so there's a total rather of 18 candidates, but 3 stand out, and they are touted to have the best chances according to opinion polls. So let's take a look at the 3 candidates. Let's start with Peter Obi, from the youngest to the oldest. He's 60 years old, and there's also a lot of criticism because recently all 3 of them have also been campaigning in London, right? So people questioning the close ties that they have with London and asking why they would also take their election campaigns there. What does Peter Obi offer?
Well, he has been part of the system. He has been governor for 8 years. But people have seen through him somebody they could trust most out of the 3 candidates. If Nigerians would be blunt with you, they will tell you that, they would rather not have the 3. But Obi, because it's not just about his age, it's because of what he has promise in his electoral manifestos. I would bluntly say, is the only one that is trying to address Nigerians' concerns. So the youth have strongly identified with him. And if you look at his constituency, it runs across religious divide. It runs across sectional and even ethnic divide. So he's the only one that have been able to actually mobilize people across the entire country. And he's the only one that will engage with the Nigerian youth and just give them this glimpse or maybe these relative promises of what tomorrow holds compared to the other candidates. But in relation to their campaigning in London, that's where many people are still worried. It resonates with the same narrative of this dependence, because the Nigerian diaspora in London cannot even vote. They are not allowed to vote during the election. So the question is, why are you campaigning in London or in other foreign countries?
Let's take a look at Bola Tinubu. What does he have to offer?
Many Nigerians believe that he has nothing to offer. It's not big, of course. He also was a governor in Lagos State for 8 years, and some people believe he relatively performed in trying to clean Lagos State, and he was able to also recruit someone that will come into the space and implement the vision the party had at the time. So we gave him credit for that. And one thing he had also succeeded to do, particularly in Western Nigeria, was to spread this network of supporters. He's been tagged as the godfather of Western Nigerian politics. But actually, he himself also declared that it's not about his credentials to be the governor. It's not because he could perform. He just saw the position as his own entitlement. And some of the tags that people use for him, which came from him himself, is this tag that it is my turn because I've worked with people, I've raised political elites across Nigeria, so I am entitled to come into this space and become Nigerian president, not because he has anything better to offer. And people also question his head. Many people are trying to say that it's not really healthy to occupy that position.
And the eldest candidate, 76-year-old Atiku Abubakar, who has been running for 5 times and he lost on all 5 occasions. What chances does he have this time around? Very quickly for us.
Yeah, well, of course, if you want to actually look at the conventional trend of Nigerian politics, out of the 3, we would rather say Ahmed Bola Tinubu and Atiku stands better chances of actually clinching the presidential baton, because He represents the northern oligarchy, despite the fact that Ahmed also tried to take somebody from the north, but we see Atiku as someone that represents the conventional, the conservative, both Fulani and Hausa in the core north, and they tend to win elections when they actually mobilize their people, because recent data shows that they tag themselves as the most populated region in Nigeria. So the expectation is that people come out to vote for them, either through legitimate voting or rigging, whatever the case may be, that he stands a chance of winning the election. He also has the machinery of the old People's Democratic Party that have ruled Nigerians for decades. So he felt if he could, put those machineries in play, he might be able to win. But it remains to be seen, because we strongly believe that Ahmed Tinubu will actually give him a raise, and even the bitter will be, it's not easy to quickly dismiss him, because most of the people that register for the elections, almost 40% of the people that register actually between the age of 18 and 34, and those are the people clamoring for Peter Obi. So if they could come out to vote, people believe that Peter Obi may also spring some surprises.
Conversation for another day. Also curious, because we are the youngest continent in terms of youth population, and you have the eldest frontrunner being 76. Thank you very much to Dr. Oye Akinola, Senior Researcher at the Institute for Pan-African Thought at the University of Johannesburg. More